Hey guys, tonight we're slipping into something a little more cosmic. You're lying there in the dark, your blanket, cocoon, wrapped tight, the outside world finally quiet. And just beneath your skin, your thoughts still buzz a little, don't they? There's that soft hum behind your eyelids, the day that refuses to end. But tonight, instead of wrestling, sleep. You're going to ride a thought wave straight into the universe's biggest mystery. What is time? You're going to drift through deep space, hover at the edge of black holes, and tiptoe through the ticking of ancient clocks and quantum particles. And don't worry, you probably won't survive this in any reasonable physical sense. But you also won't need to. This isn't about staying grounded. It's about letting go. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. People here all over the world. Seriously, I'd love to know where you're listening from and what time it is there right now. Drop it in the comments. Are you watching from a rainy midnight in Glasgow? Or a sunny morning in Manila, trying to sleep off jet lag? Let's make this weird science club just a little cozier. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You start by imagining a world where time doesn't exist. It's harder than it sounds. Even right now, as you lie motionless, there's a part of your brain keeping score. How long you've been lying here. How many hours of sleep you'll get. How fast the morning is coming. But what is time really? Is it a thing? A force, a dimension, a measuring stick. If someone asked you to point to time, could you? Or would you start naming things that represent it? A clock, a calendar, the wrinkles around your dog's eyes. Time feels natural, like a river. We all float down. But here's the unsettling truth. It's not actually well defined. Scientists, philosophers, and physicists still argue over whether time is real or just a trick our minds play to make sense of cause and effect. You trudge through your day with time wrapped around your wrists, your phone buzzing reminders, your sleep scheduled like a dentist appointment. But underneath all that structure, time behaves very badly. Sometimes it sprints, sometimes it drags. You know this. 10 minutes in a dentist's chair can feel like an eternity. But 10 minutes laughing with someone you love, gone in a blink. Your brain doesn't measure time like a stopwatch. It measures time through change, through contrast, through memory. And already you can feel your own clock slipping. As your heart rate slows and your eyes drift, time begins to feel heavier, softer. It's no longer linear. It sways. It stretches. And that's exactly what tonight is about. We'll start slow, shadowy sundials, dripping water clocks, candle marks. Ways ancient people tried to trap time. They couldn't explain what it was, so they focused on what it did. It changed the sky. It grew the crops. It aged your children and turned your wine to vinegar. But even then, there was debate. Some cultures believed time was cyclical, not a straight line, but a wheel. Life, death, rebirth. The seasons. The moon. You don't move forward, you return. Others saw time as a divine river. You're tossed into it at birth and swept along powerless to stop. It never turns back. It only flows. And then came the philosophers, bless them with their endless pondering. Aristotle thought time was tied to motion. No change, no time. St. Augustine, in a beautifully tortured line of logic, said, "What is time? If no one asks me, I know. If I try to explain it, I do not." Relatable, right? Even now, physicists can define equations that describe time. But defining time itself, still slippery. And you're here curled up in bed, floating towards sleep, and already beginning to feel that strangeness. You know, time is passing, but you're no longer tracking it. You're experiencing it. Which, funnily enough, is probably the most honest thing you can do with it. So let go of needing to understand it fully. Let go of needing to master it. Tonight you're just going to feel it. Feel it stretch, ripple loop, and dissolve. Because once you fall asleep, your brain won't be following seconds or hours anymore. It'll follow story, emotion, sensation, and in that space-time behaves differently. So close your eyes a little heavier. And in the space between thoughts, notice it. Time has already started to let go of you. The room is darker now, your limbs softer, heavier, and with each breath you settle deeper into this strange little journey. So let's rewind, way back, before physics, before digital clocks, before Einstein gave time that weird little wobble. Imagine waking up in a world with no clocks, no wristwatch, no iPhone, lock screen, no glowing microwave numbers blinking at you from across the kitchen. Just the sun, the moon, and the feeling in your bones that something was changing. Ancient humans didn't have time. They had moments. The slow rise of dawn, the warmth of the midday sun, the quiet hush before night. They read shadows, watched rivers freeze, listened to birds change their songs. Time wasn't a number, it was a mood. And eventually, they got clever. One of the earliest tools was the shadow stick, literally a stick in the ground. As the sun moved across the sky, the shadow shifted. Longer, then shorter, then longer again. People began to notice patterns. The shadow wasn't just drifting, it was telling them something. Enter the sundial. Simple, elegant, and weirdly poetic. Sundials didn't tick. They didn't buzz. They just pointed. And they only worked in daylight. Cloudy nighttime. Sorry, time. Paused. Some ancient cultures leaned on water clocks instead. A bowl with a hole dripping steadily. Or a jug that filled slowly, marking time by volume rather than light. Then there were candle clocks, candles marked at regular intervals. As wax melted, time melted with it. Quirky side note, some candles even had embedded nails that fell and rang onto plates. Medieval alarm clocks, basically. But here's the thing, these devices weren't precise. Time back then was more like weather. Vague, seasonal. Enough to plant your barley, but not enough to stress over being 2 minutes late to your pigeon courier appointment. Still, humans wanted more control. Enter the hourglass sand, slipping through a narrow neck, measuring not events, but duration. You could finally say, this will take about 1 glass of sand. Charming, right? But with all these tools, time was still local. Your town's noon was different from the village 10 miles away. Because noon just meant when the sun was highest. And if you were uphill or further west, that moment arrived at a slightly different time. This created problems, especially as people began to travel faster. Trains changed everything. Suddenly, being a few minutes off could mean missing the train entirely, or 2 trains crashing because they were using different station clocks. So in the 1800s, governments got strict. We needed a universal system. Enter standard time zones. And eventually Greenwich Mean Time, which declared this line on the map is where time begins. Imagine being in a world where time wasn't universal until just over a century ago. It's wild. And yet, even as people tried to lock time down, there was always resistance. Farmers hated daylight savings. Sailors used stars instead of clocks. Some cultures like the Hopi or Aymara didn't even describe the future as being ahead of them. They saw it as behind, since it's unknown. You walk backward into the future, facing your past. Scientists still debate whether our concept of time is culturally wired or biologically hard-coded. Probably both. But what's clear is as we built more tools to measure time, we also became more anxious about it. Your ancient ancestors didn't obsess about bedtime. They didn't set alarms. They slept when it was dark, woke when it wasn't. Time moved with them, not against them. And you live in a world where time is divided into fractions so small your watch can beep every second, where productivity apps track your focus to the minute, and where somehow there's still never enough time. It's no wonder your brain sometimes resists sleep. You're told to manage time, spend it, use it wisely. But tonight, you don't have to do any of that. Tonight, you're lying here with your pulse slowing, your breath syncing with the rhythm of the dark. And time, it's back to being a shadow on your wall, a thought in the corner, a trickle, not a tide. So let it drift, let it blur, let it return to being what it once was. A soft whisper in the sky, measured only by the feel of your breath and the weight of your eyelids. The clock on your nightstand, if you even dared to glance at it, is probably glowing with digits. Maybe red, maybe blue. Softly pulsing in the dark like a reminder. Hey, you're still awake. But don't worry, we're not going to fight time tonight. We're going to follow it back into the gears that made it tick. You've just drifted through the world of sun shadows and dripping water. Now we slip into the chime and click of something more mechanical, the invention of ticking. It started with monks, specifically monks in medieval Europe who needed to pray at precise intervals. Sundials were no good at night, and water clocks could freeze. So necessity sparked invention. And in the 13th century, something wild happened. The first mechanical clocks began to emerge in Europe. These weren't wristwatches. They were giant, clunky, bell-tolling beasts, often installed in cathedral towers. You could hear them echo across entire towns. Tick, tock, ding. And for the first time, humans weren't just observing time, they were commanding it. But here's the thing about mechanical clocks. They didn't just tell you what time it was. They created a sense of time. People began dividing their lives into smaller, more exact fragments. Work hours, class periods, meal breaks. You could be late now. And with lateness came guilt. Fun fact, the phrase on the clock came from factory life, where bosses literally tracked how long workers spent on tasks. Time became currency. Punch cards, timesheets, productivity metrics. So yes, we invented clocks, and then promptly turned them into tiny bosses. Scientists still debate whether our obsession with time tracking improved life or just made it more stressful. You gained structure, but you also gained a constant pressure to spend time wisely. There's even a term for it: chronophobia, the fear of time passing. You might not call it that, but you felt it. That twitchy urge to check the time, the pressure to optimize your schedule, the anxiety when a meeting runs over, or worse, when a day feels wasted. It's bizarre, isn't it? You can't see time hold it or stop it, and yet it governs you like an invisible landlord always knocking. But here's a cozy twist. As clocks became more precise, humans started realizing how much of time they couldn't feel. A second, sure. A minute, maybe. But what about milliseconds? Nanoseconds. The invention of the pendulum clock by Christian Huygens in the 1600s brought time measurement to a whole new level of accuracy. Suddenly we had tools that ticked in perfect rhythm. Later we developed atomic clocks using vibrations of cesium atoms to count time with uncanny precision. These things are so accurate they'd only lose about 1 second every 100 million years. And yet you, right now, You're beyond all that. Your body isn't following a cesium atom. It's following breath, melatonin, darkness. Your internal rhythm doesn't tick, it sways, softly, like a pendulum in a dream. Here's the irony. The more precisely we measure time, the more disconnected we feel from it. Because time on a screen doesn't feel like time in your chest. But tonight, you're not here to measure. You're here to melt. Let the ticking fall away. Let deadlines blur. Let minutes lose their names. Because the world didn't always buzz with alarms. It used to sing with bells. And even before that, it whispered in winds and waves. So close your eyes just a bit heavier and imagine time not as a boss, but as a gentle rhythm, like waves lapping against a dock, or your own heartbeat steady and soft. Tick, tock, drift. Your breathing is quiet now, slower, deeper. That gentle weight pressing down on your chest isn't worry anymore. It's sleep stretching its limbs. So let's gently unhook our minds from medieval clocks and candles and step into the wildest turn time has ever taken. The moment it broke free from straight lines and started bending. Tonight, we float with Einstein. Not in a spaceship, just in thought. You're lying in bed perfectly still. But what if you were flying through space near the speed of light? According to special relativity, time wouldn't tick the same way for you as it would for someone on Earth. The faster you move, the slower your time flows, at least from someone else's perspective. Seriously, Einstein proved it in 1905. If you zoom around the galaxy fast enough and return, everyone on Earth will have aged more than you. It's not just science fiction, it's tested science. We've flown atomic clocks around the world on jets and seen the tiny differences in time. This is called time dilation. It's not about feeling slower, it literally is slower. And suddenly, time isn't this universal thing anymore. It's relative. There's no cosmic now that everyone shares. Your now is different from someone else's, especially if you're moving differently or in a different gravity field. Scientists still debate whether time dilation is symmetrical or if something deeper picks a preferred observer. But let's not fall too far into that wormhole yet. This changes everything. Imagine a twin staying on Earth while their sibling rides a spaceship near light speed. When the traveler returns, the Earth twin has aged more. This is the real twin paradox, a classic of relativity. And it's not just theory. Time dilation has been measured using muons, those speedy little particles created in Earth's atmosphere. They should decay before reaching the ground. But because they're moving fast, time slows down for them and they survive longer than expected. Physics behaving like magic. Here's a fringy twist. If you could somehow exceed the speed of light, which for the record is probably impossible, you might experience time reversal. Backward causality. Effect before cause. Chicken after egg, but before chicken. Scientists are still arguing about whether faster-than-light particles called tachyons exist. If they did, they could move backward through time. No proof yet, but doesn't it tickle the imagination? And you there in bed are feeling time differently right now. Not because you're flying, but because your perception is slowing. Your brain's signals begin to lengthen. Thought feels syrupy. Your inner metronome stretches its beat. You know that feeling when a moment seems to last longer than it should, like during a near accident or a sudden scare. That's time dilation too, subjective time, where your brain floods with data and remembers more than usual, stretching the moment in memory. So tonight time stretches for you, not because of math, but because your awareness is changing gears. You've shifted into night mode. Your mind becomes more sensitive to rhythm, silence, softness. It stops counting the seconds and starts feeling the passage instead. Which, to be honest, is kind of what Einstein meant all along. He wasn't trying to blow your mind. He was trying to describe a universe where your perspective is everything. So sleep now. Let the numbers fall away. Let the laws of motion fold around you. You don't have to solve equations, just float. Float with the knowledge that time isn't fixed. It bends, it sways, and it waits for no one, except maybe you, right now. In this moment, where the only thing that's moving is your breath. You're hovering now, not quite awake, not quite asleep, drifting in that sweet limbo where dreams sneak in sideways and thoughts get weirdly philosophical. Perfect, really. Because now we're going to talk about how time and gravity, two things you totally take for granted, are secretly messing with each other behind your back. So here's the twist. Gravity doesn't just pull on your body, it pulls on time itself. It sounds like science fiction, but it's real physics. Einstein's general relativity says that massive objects like planets, stars, black holes literally warp the fabric of space-time. The stronger the gravity, the slower time flows near it. Yes, slower. That means if you camp out near something really heavy, say the surface of a neutron star, your wristwatch ticks more slowly than someone's who's further away from the mass. You're still experiencing normal time for you, but to an outside observer, you're moving through it more slowly. And here's the kicker. It happens to you every single day. You're on Earth, and Earth has gravity. So even though it's tiny, your head farther from the planet's center ages just a bit faster than your feet. Let that sink in. Your head is older than your toes. Scientists still debate whether this minuscule age gap actually impacts anything, but it makes for great trivia at awkward dinner parties. But the real drama comes in around black holes. Imagine floating near the event horizon, the edge of a black hole, where not even light can escape. Time near that edge slows down so much that to someone watching from a distance, you look frozen, suspended forever on the edge of darkness. Meanwhile, from your perspective, time is flowing normally. You're just chilling, completely unaware that the universe outside is speeding up like a cosmic time lapse. This isn't just theory. Astronomers have observed gravitational time dilation by comparing atomic clocks at different altitudes here on Earth. The one on the mountain ticks faster than the one at sea level. It's a tiny effect, but it's measurable, and it proves that gravity bends time. And what does that mean for you lying here? Well, for starters, it's kind of comforting. Because even though you feel stuck in your routine, same bed, same ceiling, same slow countdown to sleep, you are riding a time wave, literally. The mass of your body, your bed, the earth itself, all of it shapes the time that flows through you. You're not separate from the cosmos. You're warping time just by existing. Here's a fringe curiosity. There are theories deep in theoretical physics and sci-fi forums alike that time might loop around extreme gravitational fields. That if you flew a spaceship just right, you could ride that loop and return to an earlier point. A closed, time-like curve. Is it possible? Probably not. Is it debated? Absolutely. And yes, there are folks who've tried to work it into equations. You can find wild papers with diagrams that look like spaghetti drawn by sleep-deprived mathematicians. One even suggests that if you built a massive rotating cylinder of matter-time, might fold around it like a ribbon. It hasn't worked out for obvious reasons. Mostly the how do you build a star-sized spinning tube problem. But still, the possibility is dreamy, isn't it? That gravity isn't just a downward tug. It's a sculptor, a time shaper, an invisible hand smoothing out the flow of moments like a potter's wheel. And here you are. Gravity tucking you down, pulling you close, slowing your thoughts just enough to let sleep in. So, as your limbs settle deeper into the bed, imagine time folding gently around you. Not a ticking clock, not a deadline, but a soft, invisible wave curling through you, carrying you gently towards stillness. No need to measure, no need to worry. Gravity's got you. You're wrapped in gravity's arms now, time running just a touch slower beneath your blanket than up in the rafters, which is both hilarious and profound. But tonight we go deeper still, not downward, but inward into the very fabric that binds time and space together. Because time isn't floating alone. It's stitched into something much stranger, space-time. Now don't panic. You won't need a physics degree to float through this part. Just your imagination. Picture the universe as a giant stretchy sheet, like one of those elastic trampoline mats. Everything with mass, stars, planets, your cat rests on this sheet and makes a dent. The bigger the object, the deeper the dent. That dent is gravity. And what moves along that dented surface? You guessed it, time. You're not standing still in time. You're moving through it along with space. In fact, according to Einstein's equations, you're always moving at a constant speed, not just through space, but through space-time. If you sit still in space, you move faster through time. If you move faster through space, time slows down to balance the equation. It's like a cosmic trade-off motion through space versus motion through time. Mind blown, yet it gets better. This weird relationship explains why astronauts in high-speed orbit age a tiny bit more slowly than we do here on Earth. And it's not science fiction, it's real enough that GPS satellites must adjust for time dilation, or their readings would be off by meters every day. Yeah, your phone's map app depends on relativity. Here's a quirky twist in space-time. The shortest path between 2 points isn't always a straight line. It's called a geodesic, a kind of curve that looks like the universe's laziest option. Think of it like floating down a river instead of cutting through the woods. And space-time. It decides those curves based on the gravity dents from massive objects. So when Earth orbits the Sun, it's not being pulled like a rock on a string. It's actually just rolling along a curved geodesic in space-time. Neat, right? Scientists still debate whether space-time is a real, tangible thing, or just a super useful model that lets us predict stuff really well. But hey, either way, it works. You meanwhile are drifting down your own geodesic. Your path through space-time is soft, slow, and guided mostly by your dreams at this point. Which brings us to this strange idea: you're always moving through time, whether you notice it or not. But what if that motion isn't uniform? What if different regions of space-time flow differently? Some physicists speculate that space-time might have texture, like ripples, knots, or even quantum fluctuations at the tiniest scales, like walking across a carpet with invisible lumps. And if those lumps exist, maybe time flows slightly differently through them. Maybe you're in a smooth patch tonight, one where time rolls evenly, no snags, no speed bumps, just the gentle slide of seconds like silk threads slipping through fingers. Let's go further. Some fringe theories even suggest that space-time might be emergent. Not a fundamental thing, but a side effect of something deeper like heat arising from molecules jiggling around. If that's true, then time isn't a built-in feature of the universe. It's a byproduct, and that means it could be temporary. Yes, temporary. Something that only exists under certain conditions, and might someday end. But for now, you don't have to solve that mystery. You don't need to untangle space-time. You just need to rest inside it. Float gently on your geodesic. Let space cradle you and time carry you. Because in this moment you are a part of the fabric itself, not beside it, not beneath it. Within it, you are a ripple. You are a fold. You are a passenger on the quiet current that binds galaxies and dreams. And as your breath slows and your eyes close, You don't have to understand any of it. You just have to ride it. The room is quiet now, except for that barely there hum of your surroundings. Maybe it's a ceiling fan, maybe just the thrum of electricity behind your walls. But in your mind, you're somewhere else entirely on the edge of a cosmic monster. A place where time doesn't just slow down, it stops. Tonight you fall toward a black hole. It starts gently, floating. A pull so subtle you don't even notice at first. Gravity growing stronger, not just on your body, but on your time. Black holes are what happen when matter gets too heavy, too compressed, too unruly for the laws of physics to handle. A massive star collapses in on itself, creating a point of infinite density, a singularity surrounded by a one-way border called the event horizon. Cross that line and there's no coming back. Not even light escapes. But here's the weird part from your perspective. If you were falling toward a black hole, nothing, especially odd, happens. You drift past the event horizon deeper into gravity's well. Time feels normal to you. Your heart beats. Your thoughts wander. But to someone watching from the outside, you freeze. Your descent slows down until it's imperceptible. You hover at the edge of the event horizon motionless, like a paused video, a forever hold. And your clock, it stops ticking. This is gravitational time dilation taken to its most extreme. The black hole's gravity is so intense it stretches time out like taffy. What's a minute for you might be 1,000 years or more for someone watching from far away. Think of it like this: if your friends stayed on a spaceship, orbiting safely away while you fell in, they could live out entire lifetimes and never see you actually fall. You'd become a frozen image stuck forever at the edge. Scientists still debate whether the singularity at a black hole's center is a true point, or whether quantum mechanics smears it into something else entirely. We don't know, because no information escapes. Here's something quirky. Black holes aren't entirely black. Thanks to Stephen Hawking, we now know they emit tiny amounts of radiation. Hawking radiation meaning they could eventually evaporate, but slowly, like longer than the age of the universe, slowly. So in theory you could fall into a black hole and be preserved in time so completely that the universe dies before you do. Isn't that cozy? In a morbid cosmic way. And yet while black holes bend time to the breaking point, they also tell us something hopeful. That time isn't absolute. It can be stretched, folded, frozen, which means your worst moments don't last forever. Your stress doesn't echo out into the void. And tonight, as you lie in the gentle pull of sleep, you're kind of like a little black hole yourself. Your body sinks. Your awareness compresses. The outside world fades. Light sound time. You are entering your own event horizon. No alarms, no demands, just gravity and silence. A soft collapsing into rest. So let yourself fall. Not fast, not fearfully, but slowly, lovingly. Let your mind become weightless. Let time stop for just a little while. Because you're not going anywhere. Not for now. Not for 1,000,000 years. Just drifting. Quiet. Frozen in the most peaceful way possible. So you've fallen into a black hole. Metaphorically, unless you've got excellent Wi-Fi in interstellar space. Time has slowed, your thoughts have softened, and now you're hovering in that fuzzy space where sleep brushes your skin like a breeze. Seems like the perfect moment to get even weirder. Because now we're shrinking, all the way down, to the quantum world, where time doesn't play by any rules you've ever heard of. In fact, it sometimes skips the rules altogether. At the scale of particles, quarks, electrons, photons, time gets glitchy. Things don't behave. They pop in and out of existence, jump across space without warning, and sometimes ignore the direction of time entirely. Let's start with a brain twister. In quantum mechanics, particles can exist in superpositions, meaning they're in multiple states at once. A particle can spin both left and right, be here and there, even exist in more than one moment at the same time. It's like if your bedtime was simultaneously 10 p.m., 3 a.m., and also yesterday. And you're kind of doing this right now. Drifting, half in one dream, half in another. Your thoughts are in superposition. Now let's get weirder. There are quantum experiments, like the famous delayed choice quantum eraser, that suggest particles might decide how they behaved after an event has already happened. Yes, after. It's as if a photon went to college, got its degree, then went back in time to choose which high school classes it should have taken. Scientists still debate what this really means. Are we seeing time flowing backward? Is it just an illusion of probability, or is causality, our sacred rule of cause before effect, actually flexible? You can hear quantum physicists trying to explain it, and they'll usually say, well, it's complicated. Which is code for nobody fully knows. Even Einstein wasn't comfortable with the randomness of quantum mechanics. He famously said, God does not play dice with the universe. To which modern physicists basically replied, oh, he definitely does. And the dice might be four-dimensional. Here's a fringe delight. Some theoretical models suggest the entire universe might be one big quantum entangled object, meaning everything is connected in ways that ignore space and time as we understand them. Touch one piece here and another over there knows instantly. Faster than light, faster than causality, faster than your phone's software updates. And in that world, on that scale, time might not exist at all. Just probability, just correlation, just the shifting tides of what might be. It's beautiful in a terrifying way, but you don't have to understand it. Not tonight, because your body, it's not worried about superpositions. Your eyelids are obeying classical physics, slowly sliding shut like soft velvet curtains. Your breath doesn't need entanglement. It just moves in and out and in again. And maybe that's the secret. Maybe time is only weird when you look too close. Zoom out and it's simple. Moments stacking gently, one on top of the next, like pillows. So let the quantum world do its thing. Let particles argue. Let photons ghost their own pasts. You just breathe and rest in this moment that may or may not be real, but feels perfectly peaceful. You're still with me, huh? Impressive. By now your brain's probably doing somersaults in slow motion and your eyelids are considering early retirement. That's good, because where we're heading next time doesn't flow at all. That's right. We're entering the domain of the block universe, a place where the future, present, and past all just exist. Side by side. No motion, no ticking. Just is. Let me explain. In most of your day-to-day life, you think of time as a river, flowing forward, sweeping you along. You can't paddle backward. You can't skip ahead. You're stuck riding the current. But some physicists propose that this isn't quite right. According to the block universe model, time is more like a frozen landscape. Every moment past, present, future is laid out like towns on a map. The moment you were born, still there. The moment you finally learned how to fold a fitted sheet, also there. The moment you drift fully to sleep tonight, already exists. You just haven't reached it yet from your perspective. Here's how it works. Einstein's relativity tells us there's no single now that everyone agrees on. Depending on where you are and how fast you're moving, Your now might be someone else's past or future. So, what if all moments exist simultaneously? In the block universe, they do. You're not moving through time. You're experiencing different coordinates in a four-dimensional block of space-time. Think of it like walking through a gallery. Each room is a moment. You're just strolling from one to the next. Scientists still debate whether the block universe is a literal reality or just a really elegant interpretation. It's kind of like arguing whether your reflection is a real you. Now here's the quirky bit. If every moment exists forever, then, technically, you are immortal. Yes, every version of you laughing, sleeping, crying in front of the fridge at 200 a.m., they all exist, fixed in the block. This isn't the comforting kind of immortality where you ride dragons through the stars or get your own constellation. But it's a gentle kind, one where your best memories are permanent, one where your happiest moments are preserved glowing like fireflies in amber. Even this one, yes, you lying here, sinking into sleep. This soft, weightless version of yourself, it's real, it's fixed, it's forever part of the fabric. But don't let that scare you, because if time is a block, then nothing is lost. Not your childhood, not your dreams, not even that embarrassing voicemail you left once at 3 a.m. It's all still there, tucked safely away. Here's something lovely. Some philosophers take this model even further, saying, time isn't just a fourth dimension. It's a way your brain organizes experience, that the feeling of flow is just a trick, a necessary illusion. And illusions, they can be beautiful. So lie there now, eyes closed, or nearly so. Let the ticking stop, not just slow, but freeze. Let yourself become a still frame in the most delicate gallery imaginable. You're not falling behind. You're not missing anything. You're exactly where you always were. In a block. In a breath. In a moment that's been waiting for you. And even if everything else slips away, this moment, it's yours forever. You're doing great. Your body has all but disappeared into the mattress. Your thoughts are moving like molasses, and your breathing is on autopilot. At this point, even time might be giving you a polite nod and backing away quietly. Perfect, because now we need to talk about something a little wild. What if time isn't real at all? Not just flexible or relative or slippery. What if time is an illusion? This idea isn't just stoner philosophy or a sci-fi movie plot. It's a serious line of inquiry in theoretical physics and philosophy. Let's start with your daily experience. You feel time passing, right? 1 second, then another. Things age. Events unfold. You're older today than you were yesterday. But from a physics standpoint, the fundamental laws of nature don't actually require time. Let that sink in. Most of the equations that describe how things move, interact, or transform don't have a built-in arrow of time. They work the same whether time moves forward or backward. Imagine playing a video of 2 billiard balls colliding. Now rewind it. It still makes perfect sense. The math is valid both ways. The universe doesn't seem to care which direction you play it. So, where does this feeling of now come from? Some theorists believe it's tied to entropy, the measure of disorder in a system. As entropy increases, systems become more chaotic. A shattered teacup doesn't spontaneously reassemble itself. A cold spoon won't suddenly get hot. So maybe, just maybe, our perception of time is really just our perception of increasing entropy. In this view, time is emergent, a side effect of disorder. Scientists still debate this heavily. Some think time is real, but misunderstood. Others argue that once you get deep enough, say, down to quantum gravity, time just stops showing up in the equations altogether. There's even a fringe camp of physicists who think change is an illusion too. That all we ever really perceive is a series of static frames, like slides in an old-school projector. Movement, time, continuity. Just your brain stringing those frames together. Yeah, heavy stuff. But don't worry, you don't need to solve it tonight. You can just rest in the softness of not knowing. Because maybe time isn't about hours or equations or thermodynamics. Maybe it's about experience. Maybe it's just the music your consciousness plays to give structure to the dance of your life. Here's a quirky bit. Some physicists talk about a timeless universe where everything just is. All possibilities exist simultaneously in a static super-reality, and consciousness flickers through them like a flashlight across a frozen lake. In that world, you're not bound by past or future. You're not even moving. You're simply experiencing one frame at a time. And this one, this frame, it's soft, it's slow, it's safe. No clocks, no deadlines, no noise. Just you, and the gentle rhythm of your breath. And the faint idea that maybe, just maybe, time doesn't need to be real to feel real. So stay right here, in this illusion, in this beautifully convincing lie your mind tells you, and let that be enough. Because whether time is a trick, a tide, or a tangle of math too complex to name, right now it's yours, and it's okay to spend it simply sleeping. You're barely tethered now. The outside world has shrunk to a hum. Your limbs are heavy, and your thoughts are slow-motion jellyfish floating in warm water. So let's get playful. Let's talk about time travel. Yes, seriously. Because if time isn't fixed, if it bends and warps, and maybe isn't real in the first place, what's stopping us from going backwards or sideways? Or, doing a cheeky little somersault through history. Science fiction loves time travel. But physics, it doesn't rule it out. In fact, Einstein's equations allow for the possibility of closed, time-like curves, paths through space-time that loop back on themselves. If you could travel one, you might arrive before you even left. Some solutions, like the Gödel metric, describe rotating universes where this might be possible. Others suggest you could use a wormhole, a theoretical tunnel through space-time, to travel from one point to another, even backward in time. And it's a big but, there are problems. First, we've never found a naturally occurring wormhole. And even if we did, keeping it stable enough for time travel would require something called negative energy, which is like asking the universe for imaginary fuel made of hope and paradoxes. Then there's the famous grandfather paradox. If you go back and prevent your grandparents from meeting, do you disappear? Or is the timeline fixed in a way that prevents you from changing anything? Scientists still debate this. Some say time is self-consistent. You can't change the past. Others suggest every action spawns a new branch of the universe. Hello, multiverse. Quirky idea. If time travel is possible, maybe we're just not interesting enough for future time tourists to visit. Or maybe they do come back, but only to steal socks and stand just out of frame in 19th century photos. You can't prove they're not. Still, there are some eerie real-world parallels, like the twin paradox, a consequence of relativity. One twin travels at near light speed, returns younger than their sibling. It's not just math, it's been tested with atomic clocks on planes. Time really does slow down when you move fast. Or the idea that in quantum mechanics, particles influence each other instantaneously, no matter how far apart. It's not time travel, but it violates the usual rules of time and space. And here you are, an average human being lying in bed, dreaming about time loops and wormholes like it's just another Tuesday night. But maybe that's the magic of it. Because you don't need a time machine. You already travel through time every moment. You rewind with memories. You fast forward with plans. You skip ahead with hope or drift back with regret. Your mind is the only vehicle that's ever really cracked the code. And right now it's drifting, not to ancient Rome or the year 3000, but to a deeper, stiller place. A place where you don't need to move, where everything you are, were, and might be can lie together in peace. A place that doesn't care what clocks say. So let the paradoxes wait. Let the theories circle. Let the timelines branch and tangle and loop. Tonight, you're only going one way. Into stillness. Into quiet. Into a moment so soft it might just be outside of time altogether. By now, time has softened like butter on warm toast. You're floating in it, not moving forward or backward, just suspended. So let's pause in that floaty space and talk about something beautifully strange, biological time. You might think your body follows the same time as the universe. Hours, days, years, tick, tick, tick. But surprise, your body keeps its own time. Quietly. Internally. Sometimes rebelliously. You're run by circadian rhythms, about 24-hour cycles, controlled by a tiny part of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. No, not a Hogwarts spell. Just a bundle of cells in your hypothalamus. This little cluster of neurons reads the light in your environment and tells the rest of your body, okay folks, it's time to wake up, or let's wind down now, organs. But here's the weird thing. Even without sunlight, your body would keep time. In a dark cave, people still stick to roughly 24-hour cycles, just slightly longer. Your biology has a clock of its own. Quirky side note, lobsters, clams, even mold spores, they all keep time too. Time is baked into biology, not just cosmology. Scientists still debate how ancient these rhythms are, and whether they evolved first for light cycles, or maybe something deeper like tides or planetary magnetism. You, for example, aren't just following one clock. You have dozens. Your body temperature rises and falls predictably. Your hormones surge on schedules. Melatonin at night, cortisol in the morning. Even your gut bacteria keep time. Yeah, your belly bugs have a routine. And when those rhythms get out of sync, jet lag, shift work, all-nighters, you feel it. Your mind gets foggy. Your mood dips. You might even feel like time itself is off. Because it is for you. Here's something fun. Astronauts on the International Space Station experience 16 sunrises and sunsets per day. Imagine trying to nap through that. So NASA programs their lights to mimic Earth's rhythms to help their internal clocks stay sane. Back on Earth, some people have naturally longer or shorter circadian rhythms. Ever met a true night owl, not lazy, just wired for a delayed sleep phase? And kids. Their clocks shift during puberty. That's why teens always want to sleep at 2 a.m. and wake up at noon. It's not rebellion, it's biology. Let's go even deeper. Inside every one of your cells is a group of genes nicknamed clock genes that control timing. They regulate cell repair metabolism even when you feel hungry. You're basically a walking symphony of synchronized clocks. Except, sometimes those clocks go rogue. As you age, your body's timing drifts. Sleep gets lighter. You might wake earlier, nap more. Time doesn't just feel faster, it is processed differently. Some researchers think this is because of neurological changes in how we form memories. We store fewer distinct moments as we age, which makes time feel compressed, like flipping through a photo album with fewer pages. But tonight, none of that matters, because your internal clocks, they're slowing down. Your heart beats in a low, steady rhythm. Your breath whispers at the pace of deep time winds. You don't need an alarm. You don't need a watch. You're your own timekeeper. And right now, your body has decided it's sleep o'clock. So let your cells tick softly. Let your hormones hum a lullaby. Let your whole system align not with Greenwich Mean Time, but with the sweet, slow heartbeat of rest. Because for now, the only time that matters is this one. And it's yours. You've drifted through black holes, bounced across quantum puzzles, and even danced with timelessness. But now, with your body humming like a low-frequency lullaby, let's get personal. Let's talk about how your mind, your very own subjective reality, constructs time. Because here's the trippy truth. The time you feel, it's not out there. It's in here. Your brain doesn't sense time the way it senses light or sound. There's no time receptor behind your eyeball or tick sensor in your skin. Instead, your mind builds time from experience, moment by moment, memory by memory. Let's break it down. You experience time passing because your brain is constantly predicting, comparing, and adjusting. It keeps track of how long things take, how quickly sensations arrive, how events follow each other. It builds a narrative A before a now and an after. But that narrative, it's flexible. When you're bored, time drags. When you're panicked, time races. And when you're fully immersed, like during a good book, a great conversation, or yes, even this story time vanishes. Scientists still debate what exactly gives rise to the now. Experience why we feel time flowing at all, when most brain functions are asynchronous and decentralized. And the memory piece. That's huge. Ever notice how childhood seemed to stretch on forever, but the last 5 years zipped by in a blink? That's because your brain forms more new memories when you're experiencing new things. When life is routine, it skips the details. Your days blur your mind fast forwards. Quirky tidbit in experiments: people in unfamiliar environments, like new cities, overestimate how long they've been there. Their brains record so many fresh impressions, it feels like more time has passed. So if you want life to feel longer, try new things. Shake up your routines. Make moments worth remembering. But not right now. Right now, your mind is doing the opposite. It's slowing down, letting go of time building, turning off the timestamp generator. Even your dreams mess with time. In REM sleep, entire narratives unfold in seconds. Your brain stitches together complex plots, emotions, landscapes like a Hollywood editor on fast forward. And yet it feels seamless. In that way, dreaming is a lot like memory, or life. A blur of sensations tied together by meaning. So as your mind floats deeper past logic, past language, into that soft fog of almost dream, remember this: you are the author of your time. You stretch it, compress it, freeze it, and sometimes you erase it completely in the gentlest way possible: sleep. Tonight, as your body lies quiet, your brain untangles its clocks. You don't need to know what hour it is. You don't need to keep track of the night, because you're drifting into a space where the seconds are too soft to count, where minutes pool like warm water, where every heartbeat echoes like a bell in deep fog. You're not lost in time, you're held by it. So close your mind's calendar, archive the appointments, mute the alarms, and let your thoughts fall silent, not because time has stopped, but because you have nothing left to count. At this point, time isn't just soft, it's syrup, thick, slow, and sweet. Your breath has become the metronome. Your muscles are somewhere between melting and vanished. Perfect. Let's follow the feeling and explore something almost poetic: the emotional physics of time. Because time isn't just physics and clocks and entropy, it's felt. It's intimate, personal, emotional. Let's start with something you already know. Time hurts when you're grieving. Ask anyone who's lost someone. time doesn't heal, it distorts. Days blur, hours stretch. Moments you didn't notice before now ache. The smell of bread, the sound of a door, all laced with memory, all wrapped in time. But when you're in love, time collapses. Hours feel like seconds. A whole afternoon vanishes in the warmth of someone's gaze, in a laugh you weren't expecting, in the comfort of being seen. So here's the strange truth. Emotion is a time machine. Your feelings twist time in ways that have nothing to do with gravity or equations. They bend your memory shape. Your perception blur beginnings and endings. Beginnings and. Scientists still debate whether emotion alters temporal processing, or if time perception is just a side effect of changing neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. Either way, the result is real. Here's a quirky fact. When you're afraid, like genuinely startled, your brain records more details, which makes the event seem longer in hindsight. That's why your near-death experience felt like a movie in slow motion. Your brain went into hyper-capture mode. The opposite is true too. When you're happy, relaxed, deeply engaged, like say, while listening to an oddly soothing bedtime science story, your brain filters. It relaxes. It doesn't need to log every detail. And so time slides. That's not a glitch. That's a feature. You are built to warp time. And not just in your perception. Your memories warp too. We rewrite them constantly. Each time you recall something, you're not accessing a file. You're opening a fresh document, retyping it, saving over the original. Your memory of time is fluid, editable, kind of like a cosmic Google Doc. It's why nostalgia feels so good, even when it's for something that wasn't that great when it happened. Your brain smooths the rough edges, polishes the lighting, adds a soundtrack. It's also why some nights, maybe like this one, will feel timeless, even if by the numbers it's just another Tuesday. Because emotion threads through your sense of time like a hidden melody. And tonight, the tempo is gentle, the rhythm steady, the key comfort. No ticking, no rushing, just the slow folding of your thoughts into something softer than sleep. You don't need to measure this moment. You don't need to memorize it. It will settle into you anyway, like fog settling into a valley, like moonlight soaking into a tide, like warmth curling inside a winter coat. Because this moment is made of feeling, not numbers. And it doesn't need to be long, just deep, just quiet, just yours. Here we are. You've traveled through wormholes, paused in Einstein's space-time, floated past ticking neurons and squishy clock genes. And now, at the gentle end of our journey, let's visit a question that echoes louder the longer you sit with it. Why does time flow only one way? It seems obvious, of course. It moves forward. Eggs don't unscramble. You can't unburn toast. You age. You don't de-age unless you're Benjamin Button or a CGI Marvel character. But nature's fundamental equations, the deep cosmic level math, don't care. They run the same backward or forward. Time is symmetrical in most physics. So, where's this arrow of time coming from? Many scientists point to entropy, that second law of thermodynamics again. Left alone, systems tend toward disorder. Ice melts. Buildings crumble. Your desk somehow gets messier without you doing anything. And entropy increases in one direction, only forward. That's why you remember yesterday and not tomorrow. But here's the wild part. No one knows why the universe started in such a low entropy state to begin with. That's still an open cosmic mystery. Scientists still debate whether the arrow of time emerges from entropy consciousness, quantum collapse, or some unknown universal law. Now let's add a sprinkle of weird. In certain quantum interpretations, time doesn't flow at all. Events just are snapshots arranged in relationships, not sequences. The arrow might just be how we observe them. Still with me, I know it's heavy. But here's the comfort. You don't need to crack the code of time. You just need to feel it. And right now, it's telling you to rest. Your internal clocks. They've slowed to a whisper. Your thoughts, they've untied their laces and curled up on the couch. So let's float one last time through this slow-motion farewell. Let your mind quiet now. No more puzzles, no more paradoxes. Just this soft moment. Imagine time as a field of tall grass, each blade a moment. Some you walked through today, some still ahead. The air is warm, the wind is kind, and you're lying there in the middle face, tilted toward the stars, though you don't need to see them to know they're there. Your breath becomes the wind. Your thoughts fall away like petals. There's no past tugging, no future waiting. Just this slow exhale, no ticking, no pressure. The seconds stretch like honey. And maybe, just maybe, this is what time really is. Not a line, not a loop, but a feeling. A rhythm cradling you. A lull between heartbeats. A hush that wraps around your tired edges. Let your limbs be weightless. Let your jaw unclench. Let your mind dissolve like ink in water. You've done enough thinking, enough wondering, enough being awake. Now you drift. Not forward, not backward, but inward, into the deepest part of the night, where time isn't measured, only felt, and where sleep waits timeless and gentle just for you. End of script. Sweet dreams.